Welcome to Truth or Politics. I'm your host, Darlene Price. And folks, yes, we've been on for a while. We took a little bit of sort of a vacation, and then we had several people come down with COVID, and everybody got quarantined. And so sorry about the delay, but we're back. And before we get started, as always, we want to thank MBR TV for keeping us on the air for all these years, almost 12 years. Our hero, Steve Hall, who suffered right with us on everything, to include a false arrest to shut him up. But he can't be silenced, and neither will we. And we want to thank our executive producer, Michael Mann. He's behind the cameras right now. You can't see him because he's trying to make sure everything's working properly. And we want to thank him for keeping us up and running for all these years, too. One of our killer bees. And we have with us tonight one of the producers for Truth or Politics in Pulaski County, Dan Gibson. And before we get started, too, we want to say thank you for the viewers on Facebook. We also have a new podcast that's going to be coming up. And we want to thank our podcast in Louisville. We have Truth or Politics in Louisville. So Truth or Politics has had babies and more babies, and we are expanding because people like how we do business. People like how we collect evidence and do a real investigative reporting, and then we give it to you, the public. Tonight, we are going to try to cover two topics. Excuse my mint in my mouth because I know I'm going to probably lose my voice before this is over. We're going to try to cover two topics tonight. If you'll go to our Facebook pages on Truth or Politics Pulaski County and Truth or Politics Southeastern Kentucky, McCreary County, you will see where I have posted open records requests. We're going to hit the first ones first. But let's do a little bit of background. We got a whole lot of new viewers from Pulaski County. Welcome aboard. We appreciate your support. And basically what happened is about 2 years ago, because of the success we had in McCreary County and also in Whitley County, exposing waste, fraud, abuse, cronyism, and corruption, to we the people, we had a huge effect. We were asked by a couple of organizations in Pulaski County. We had a meeting, and they wanted us to bring Truth or Politics to Pulaski County. And over the past 2 years, we have been actively developing confidential sources, and pretty much in the last 2 years in just about every branch of government up there. Every public office, we have confidential sources that are feeding us information, and we have enough information for many shows now. And it all started with us exposing the fact that the mayor of Somerset and some of his city council members continue to bring in, probably around 50 million gallons now of absolute poison, and running it through a defective wastewater treatment plant, and basically poisoning an entire ecosystem. And yet nothing's been done, while the state EPA and the state water district turns a blind eye to it, and this current governor. Once we did that, and please go watch that, it's called Lake Cumberland, What Really Lies Beneath. It's on YouTube. Please go watch it and hit the like button. Anyway, so here we are, and we posted this last week. I'm just going to go through the open records request first and some of the documents that are attached, in case you guys don't. In case some of you guys are watching this we're on television too, so that's why I have to go through this. Has the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office lost seized evidence from their evidence locker and what's a seized account, a private account? On August 12, 2022, Truth or Politics faxed the attached open records request with supporting documents to the Pulaski County Sheriff, the Kentucky Attorney General, and to the Kentucky State Auditor. Information provided by confidential, reliable sources revealed that, now that was on August 12th. Then on August 18th, 2022, officers from the KSP DESI, that's DESI, East Task Force, entered the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office, conducted a limited search, and interrogated the sheriff and his major. And basically, what this is about is we received information, and you can read the open records request is pretty lengthy, and what I'm asking for is, any notice to the public about this, any and all records limited to this report. Who was this reported to? Please provide any and all records as to why the Commonwealth Attorney recused himself on this. There's a ton. It would take me a while to go through this open records request because we're trying to get answers for you, the people up there, because you deserve answers to this. Now, this is based on February 10th, 2021. The Greg Specht, the Pulaski County Sheriff, sent a letter to Commissioner Burnett of the Kentucky State Police, and it says, and I have a copy of this letter, thank you to the confidential sources that sent it to me. A full inventory of the Pulaski County Sheriff Office. Folks, this is a call-in show, but we're going to ask you to hold the calls, please, until we unpack this. Then I'll tell you when to call in. And I'm sorry about that, but you need to fully understand what the topics are and what we're talking about before you call in. The call-in number is 606-376-5000, 606-376-5000. But please hold your calls until we unpack this. The inventory revealed a sum of United States currency missing from the evidence room. I submit this letter formally requesting the state of police conduct an investigation into this matter. Thank you in advance for your assistant, Greg Specht, Pulaski County Sheriff. And that was from February 10th, 2021. What has happened since then? Well, we don't know, but I've got some information here. Other information that we got, based on this, there was a case. It's Commonwealth of Kentucky versus Javante Dishwan Gross. I probably totally butchered that name, and I'm sorry. We posted this also as far as the documents. They're going to have a hearing on this. Why are they going to have a hearing? Well, if evidence in the form of money has been mishandled or missing and then reappearing, and now we have another case coming in. I'm getting documents even as we speak. We'll have to follow up with that this has happened before. That's a problem, folks, and it affects not just the money in the evidence room, but any other case, criminal case that's, processed evidence through the Pulaski County evidence room. We also posted a copy of the evidence collection and preservation, their general policy, page 10 of 15 for the Pulaski County Sheriffs. And this is what it says in regarding money, processing of money. It says, all money submitted will be counted by both a submitting deputy and a supervisor or other witness. All money will be submitted in sealed plastic bag or tamper-proof container and initialed by the submitting deputy. The report must identify the amount of money, who submitted it, and who verified the count. Money shall be stored flat, not folded. Money shall be submitted to the evidence room when the evidence custodian is off duty or unavailable. It will be placed in a temporary storage locker. What it does not say here, and should not say, and we'll get into that, is it does not say, go take the money, which is evidence, and go put it in a secret account somewhere. And yes, we know about this account. And I'm going to withhold some of the documents, how we know about this account. But apparently the Pulaski County Sheriffs, here's why you don't do this, okay? I go into Dan's house. I'm a cop. And by the way, for you guys that don't know me, I was in law enforcement. I was a federal agent for a long time. First in the military, and then with the Department of Treasury, U.S. Customs Service, and then on one DEA narcotics task force after another out in the Los Angeles area. So I know a little bit about this. I go into Dan's house. Pretend he's a criminal. I go in his house, and he's got a safe, say about this big. Inside that safe is drugs and money. What I'm supposed to do is seize the whole container, because that container is evidence as well. Take that container in, and I'm supposed to process that container and that evidence, the drug evidence and the money evidence. And the money evidence, how I process that, is just as important as the drug evidence. What's supposed to happen is just what that policy says. Our policy was a lot more detailed. We had to do some serial numbers, 2 people to sign it. And what you were not allowed to do is take that money and go put it in some private bank account. Why? You say, well, why? Well, if it's a lot of money. I worked on some of the largest money laundering operations ever known to mankind. Operation Green Ice, I was a money pickup undercover person for that. And I'm telling you, in small evidence rooms, it can fill up really quick when you're talking millions and millions of dollars. Drug money is very voluminous, okay? So in those cases, you still had to do a very detailed processing of that money, and then you could then take it to the bank. But that's because you had tons of money, literally, and you had no room in the evidence locker. I doubt that that's the problem for the Pulaski County Sheriff. I just don't see them, maybe I'm wrong, call me if I'm wrong, but I don't see them literally seizing locker rooms full of money that would fill up their evidence locker. So what they're supposed to do is just what I said. You seal it, and you can't break that seal. Why is that? Okay, so I'm the cop. I go in front of the grand jury. I either know or don't know, either way it's wrong, that somebody has taken that money, that evidence, from that safe and put it in a bank account. Now it's time for me to testify in front of the grand jury at trial. Okay, they bring in that safe with the drugs and the money, and then they're going to ask me, is that the safe? Yes, it is. Is this the seal? Is that your initials on the seal? Yes, it is. And that seal has not been broken. It's pristine. Is that how you seized it? Is that the money? Yes, it is. Well, guess what? You just perjured yourself, because that's not the money. Somebody took the money out of that, broke the seal, put it in a bank account, and then it reappeared. And you bet it ain't the same money. Banks ain't going to sit there and count out the same serial numbers, okay? That's why it's a problem. Not to mention, now there's allegations that there's money missing. My confidential sources, more than one, is saying, in this one case, about $30,000 or more. Go ahead.
Just for the public's sake, could this not be very important to a case? For example, the type of evidence that might be obtained from a piece of paper money could be fingerprints, could be drug residue, could be serial numbers.
Right.
There's several different types of evidence that could be gained from this currency. And to not have that available in a court of law could change many cases and have innocent people put in jail or guilty people let go.
Right.
So,
and just like the drug evidence, the money evidence, you're supposed to limit who has access to that. Okay? You know, not everybody, like a clerk or a secretary, should be able to just get into the evidence locker and take the drugs and take them out and put them back. Same way with the money, just like what you said. This is what we used to have to do. We were dealing with big bulk money. We still had very specific procedures. We would have to put it through money counters, wear a mask. One time we didn't wear a mask. That was not good, because you're breathing cocaine with it. So you're supposed to put it in the money counters, and if it's a small amount, you don't have to do the money counters, right? But you're also supposed to do certain serial numbers. Okay, we're not going to sit there if it's a lot of money. If we're talking enough bills to fill this room, you can't do that. But you'll take like some of the serial numbers here, some of the serial numbers here, and you're supposed to, we would swab it, wear gloves, swab it. It's evidence. Just because it's money doesn't mean it's not evidence. Swab it, bag and tag the swabs, then, if it's small enough to keep it in an evidence locker, like in Pulaski County, what they should be doing, you should have a seal on that. A seal should not be broken, okay, from the original people who seized the evidence. Okay, it says right there in their log, 2 signatures should be on that. Well, somebody later gets into that money and then unseals it and puts it in the bank. You have violated the rules of evidence. This fact that now there's, and then they wonder, why is there money missing? And then money apparently reappearing. That ain't good. But then the question is, what else has been done in that evidence room? If you don't have control over your evidence room, I mean, that's a serious problem. Okay, so when we posted this open records request, I started getting a flood of confidential sources giving us information. Here's what else that I have verified from at least 2 incredibly reliable confidential sources. Okay, here's what else is allegedly happening at the Pulaski County evidence room. When, again, I'm using Dan for example. I'm a cop, I'm a Pulaski County sheriff. He's used to it, poor guy. Anyways, I arrest him. I go to book him at the Pulaski County Sheriff's, okay, at the, where you book people through. Let's say he's got $70 on him. I take his money, because you got to take everything, when you process people. You don't just let them in there with their wallets and stuff. So you take their stuff, okay? What I'm supposed to do is, that's supposed to be pristine stuff. I'm not supposed to take that money then and put it in an account. He's supposed to get that money back, right? Well, apparently, what my confidential sources are telling me, and I've got two very reliable ones and a couple maybe reliable ones, but I'm getting this from more than one source. What's happening is, when he bonds out, he goes back to get his money. Hey, where's my stuff? If it's somebody from out of town, somebody that's got a heavy beef hanging over their heads and they know they ain't gonna, make a fuss about it, or somebody who's a professional that really doesn't want it to get out that they got arrested, let's say for DUI, like let's say it's a doctor, got arrested for DUI, the doctor's got $70 or $100 on him, he's not going to make a stink because he wants to keep this quiet. He wants to pay his fee and doesn't want to lose his license. I'm just using that as an example, okay? So he goes to get his stuff back and they say, well, here's a card. It's one of those little gift cards, like a Visa card, that you can put money on, that you buy at the stores, and your money's on this. They go to check, to do the card, and there's no money on it. And they also been doing this, allegedly, to people, especially people out of town. Or I also have reports where people are saying, I show up, that, I get processed, I bond out. And let me just say this too. I want to caveat this. Not everybody who is arrested is guilty. You are, and this is America, you are presumed innocent until proven guilty, period. Or till you plead out, okay? That's how the system works, and it should work. That's how we keep innocent people from going to prison, okay? So keep that in mind. And these people are telling me they're not getting their money back, one way or another. And it's going into this account, where now, not just this case, but today, before I left the office, I've got a flurry of documents I have to go through. Apparently there was another case where this same thing happened. I can't get into that yet because I don't know all the what, to, where, fors, and hows, and we will follow up on this as well. You want to comment on that at all there, Dan? Well, I'm looking to make sure I'm not missing anything.
It's hard for me to believe that this sort of thing would go on in Pulaski County. Why is it that all of this corruption is happening in Pulaski County? Why it seems like every entity of any power in like the mayor, the past county judge, now the sheriff's office, the prosecutors, you haven't gotten into that yet, but you will in a little bit. But why is it that all these people seem to be doing things against the voter? The common man is being hurt by all of this, and why are you reelecting them? I do not understand that. Why are you reelecting all these people who are apparently doing you wrong? That just blows my mind. Why do you do that?
Well, I'm gonna come back to that answer because I may have a little bit of an answer to that at the end. I'm going to hit that. Okay. And before we get into this next thing, now let's unpack the next thing. And I just want to say this, folks. I was a cop for a long time. My brother was a cop. I back the blue, and I believe in. Go ahead, Michael.
I was curious about when this money reappeared. Was it after an investigation?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
After somebody said, "Where's this money on this specific case?" And then the money, we think, reappeared. Now that's not absolutely sure. Also, we have information that the state auditors didn't know about this and didn't know about the account. That's why I'm sure some people in Pulaski County are extremely pissed at me right now, but I don't really care. We sent this open records request with supporting documents. Not all the supporting documents. We're holding back some of these documents. So if you try to say, no, this don't exist, and oh, it's controlled, you better think again because you don't know what I got, okay? So we sent this to the state auditors and the state attorney general's office as well. And lo and behold, a few days later, the task force shows up and wants some answers. So that's where we're at on that. And I just want to say, look, I believe in backing the blue. I do. But you know who hates this kind of stuff? cronyism, corruption. Do you know who hates this more than anybody? Honest cops. Honest cops hate this because it makes their job 1,000 times harder. It just does. And it puts them in precarious situations. I tend to know a little bit about this since I literally wrote the book on it. Cheap plug, I wrote the book Bordergate, the story the government doesn't want you to read, because I exposed major corruption in my agency and suffered, myself and my whole task force suffered greatly from that, from being whistleblowers. And I ended up testifying in front of the United States Congress about it. Anyways, so I believe in backing the blue, but the blue better be right. Because it is not right to intimidate cops who come forward, and I've already been contacted by 2 sheriff deputies who left the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office, and they're providing me some information because of stuff like this. So this is not good. And so let's unpack part 2, and we'll start your calls here in just a few minutes, but go ahead.
I was going to say, on the corrupt police, it's very, very sad that the few hang that tag on the many.
Right.
And they're not all corrupt, but it's proven every day by news agencies that many are. And when that happens, it casts fear. They don't even want to talk to the police anymore. There's a whole course at Cornell University says that the best thing to do if you're pulled over or if you're questioned by the police is say nothing other than what is absolutely demanded of them that you say. Mostly just your name and your address and who your attorney is.
Right. You know,
It casts that fear where the fair cop cannot really investigate anything.
Right.
It makes it so hard on the people who want to do right.
right. And I agree fully. And you know, and I believe, you know, this is not anything derogatory to the beat cops that are out there. 99% of the time, when you have this kind of thing going on, it's usually mid-level to higher management that's responsible. Somebody else is responsible. And I know there's some things, you know, where the beat cops are corrupt as well. But usually, you know, you can't be making accounts like this and taking evidence from an evidence locker, putting it through an account that, you know, God knows who has access to, and then putting money back when somebody's saying, "Where's this money?" That just, I'm sorry, that just looks bad. I'm sorry, that's a management problem. That's not just, you know, the beat deputy problem.
It is the upper echelon. I have watched the judiciary judges say in court that, this policeman, he really meant to do the right thing. He just gets a little overzealous at times. I heard those exact words from a judge in Pulaski County. Now, overzealous when it comes to the law is not allowed. Everyone is supposed to go by the law equally. It's supposed to be equally applied to everyone and equally obeyed by everyone. And yet, you see a member of the judiciary sitting there saying, "Oh, it's okay if he did, he was just a little overzealous." That enables those guys, and that is wrong. The judges should never show favoritism to a policeman just because he's in office. Do not enable him when he comes in there with, you see clearly that he is a little overzealous, and prosecute him. Put a stop to that. Don't allow that. I mean, that encourages this corruption that we're talking about. Please stop that.
Okay, now, next heading. Comes under the heading, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, it probably is a duck. And I would have to put this under the heading, did a multi-billion-dollar corporation, in the name of a grant, bribe, basically, law enforcement? And what am I talking about here? I posted again, open records request. And if you look, this case went all the way to the Commonwealth, to the Court of Appeals and the State of Kentucky Court of Appeals. And thank God the State of Kentucky Court of Appeals kicked this back. And throwing books, self-checkout fees. Okay, all of you that go through these self-checkouts at Walmart, when you hear the end of this story, you won't want to do that anymore. Okay. Here's the story. This is one of the cases, and this is the one that went to the Court of Appeals. This chick goes through Walmart, automatic, where you're checking yourself out, where they're pushing everybody to do, okay? Because, you'll have, 80 people in line, and they'll have one line off, and they'll be pushing you over there. And I don't do that because it costs people their jobs.
They almost make you do it.
Yeah.
They will put maybe one or two checkout people.
Right.
And then say, well, if you can't stand in line or wait 2 hours to get checked out, go over here and check yourself out.
Right.
They make you use those
Well,
computers.
they don't make you, but they...
It's making as far as...
yeah. Now, I
anyone
agree.
would understand it.
Right. You either check to choose to wait in line, if you got one little thing, then you go over there. Okay, so what happens is this girl goes through the line. She either, depends on who you believe, she has a defense of she didn't steal it. It was $80, $80, okay? And she supposedly, allegedly stole $80 through that self-checkout thing, okay? Of course, she has the defense that the readers made a mistake. Now, I will say this. It's been several years ago. I went through can you tell them? You can hear that out here? That's bleeding over. Okay, sorry about that. Live TV. Anyways, she checks out, right? She allegedly steals $80. Okay, well, it's been several years ago. I went through with a cashier, not self-checkout. I was buying some little windbreaker or something for dog training, and it was like on sale for like $14 or something. She puts it through the reader, the barcode, and it comes up $46. And I'm like, ho, this is supposed to be on sale. It says right on the tag, $14 or whatever. Oh, okay, so she punches in the actual code, and then it rings up $14. Okay, that's with a person standing there. So don't tell me these things don't make mistakes. I know better. Okay, here's the thing. She gets arrested, and she gets charged with a felony. And the Commonwealth, the Commonwealth attorney charges her with basically computer fraud, as though she had access to their computer and committed computer fraud, okay? Now, let's go on the assumption, just for argument's sake, that she's guilty. Let's say she stole $80 worth of stuff, okay, just for argument's sake. Even if she did, Kentucky Revised Statutes say you can't charge someone with a felony unless it's over $500 in the state of Kentucky. That's the law. That's the threshold, passed by our legislature. Our Commonwealth attorney does it anyway. Charges her with saying she's got access to the computer, which she does not, okay? She gets convicted. It goes to the Court of Appeals. Now, I'm going to read you some of the stuff that the Court of Appeals, thank God the Kentucky Court of Appeals showed some smarts and actually wrote this up pretty good. It's pretty long. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. I'm going to read some of the highlights that they said about this. In other words, they were basically charging her with hacking. This is what they said. A person is guilty of unlawful access to a computer in the first degree when he or she, which is what they're charging her with, without the effective consent of the owner, knowingly and willingly, directly or indirectly accessing, causing to be accessed, or attempts to access any computer software. Okay, she had no access to the software. For those of you who don't know what software is, that means the actual, a computer, the hardware is the hard stuff on the outside. That's the mouse and the screen and the thing, right, Michael Mann? The software is the actual brains of what makes that computer work. They charged her with, like she had access to their software of this barcode thing. My BS meter is just going like this, right? No, she didn't. And so they kicked it back because of that, of course. And here's some of the other things that the Court of Appeals said. There will be an inherent unfairness in convicting Shirley, that's the name of the girl, of a Class C felony, what should be a simple misdemeanor for a theft of goods worth $80.80. Nowhere else in our criminal laws would such a theft be treated as a felony, much less a Class C felony, and indeed reforms have been taken place to make crimes that are part of Kentucky Penal Code consistent require a $500 threshold met before a crime becomes a felony. Similar crimes that are not part of the Kentucky Penal Code are typically make use of the $500 threshold. Here's what else they said, and I love this. You know, I don't always agree with the Kentucky Court of Appeals, but I agree with them on this. They did a good job here. When all else is said and done, common sense must not be a stranger in the house of law. Thank you. We should, the punishment should fit the crime. If this girl did swipe $80, you know, punishment should fit the crime. Here we got people running around here with fentanyl, killing people, and they're being charged less than what this. So the question is, why did this Commonwealth attorney and this county attorney, because if it was a misdemeanor, the county attorney would have handled it, right? What happened here? What happened? I wonder what happened. Well, let me tell you about this. So I put my glasses back on. Sorry, I'm old. Perhaps we have an answer here. Walmart Relations Media didn't respond to a question about whether the $347 billion company has asked Kentucky prosecutors to charge self-checkout shoplifters with more serious crime. How did they ask them? They gave a grant. It's called Operation Shop Loss. And apparently, here it is. I've got their whole thing where I'm going to go ahead and take this call. We'll go ahead and take this call. Truth to Politics, what's your comment or question? Hello, Truth to Politics, what's your comment or question? Okay, never mind. Anyways, here it is. This is their grant thing where they give money to local law enforcement, and what it's supposed to be for is supposed to be for public safety, mostly for equipment and stuff. Well, we have information from confidential sources that ain't what happened. Hence our open records request that we did to the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, the City of Somerset City Council, who supposedly got some of this money and shipped it through here, the Commonwealth Attorney, and who else? We sent it to anybody and everybody who might have had part of this. Go ahead.
If Walmart gives money to these prosecutors,
and then
would that not affect how they feel about prosecuting a case? I mean, if they're going to get money to prosecute someone, would they not go at it more vigorously, or charge them with a deeper crime or a greater crime? Would they not do that?
That's the $1 million question. How much money was given? Did it go to salaries instead of to equipment? Because we have confidential sources that are telling us that some of this money went to salaries in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. Allegedly, this is why I hit them with these open records requests, because you, the people out there, need to know. You can call this a grant all you want it. Somebody tell me how this is not a bribe. Walmart coughs up all kinds of money for Operation Shop Loss, then magically, the prosecutors decide we're going to hammer these people and stack charges that, even the Court of Appeals says no. Then the Court of Appeals kicks it back and does a really good job, and you can read that, folks. Don't take my word for it. I posted it. Please go read this, what the Court of Appeals says, because they did a really good job in layman's terms that anybody can understand.
For a private or public concern to put any type of monies back into our judiciary or legal system for anything, whether it be for equipment or for personal use or whatever, that would have to bias justice. It would have to change their outlook or how they view justice, because anytime them or their agency is going to be improved by more money, if they do a certain thing, would they more be entitled or think they would want to do that thing?
Well, the appearance is quid pro quo. Okay? You gave them, whether you meant it to be this or not, here's what it looks like. Walmart ponies up a bunch of money, it goes to the cops, and then the prosecutors stack charges. This don't look good, okay?
Why do we keep electing them is what I keep asking.
Well, this don't look good, all right? And I have posted the open records request. It's voluminous. I'm not going to sit here and read it. We have asked because you, the people, deserve to know this. And folks, you need to think about this. You could be next, okay? You go through that self-checkout and the barcode doesn't read right, or somebody does something, puts the wrong barcode on there, and you go through the reader. Next thing you know, you're in handcuffs and you're looking at a felony charge. Why? Because this ain't over yet. Even though the Court of Appeals kicked this back to this prosecutor and told them no, not only no, but hell no, and here's why, okay? This prosecutor decides, no, I'm going to make this go to the Kentucky Supreme Court. Okay, why is that a problem? Folks, I've been an investigator on a criminal case. Oh, by the way, it was in Pulaski County too. What a coinky-dink. Where basically a guard at the Pulaski County Prison decided to basically Molotov cocktail a prisoner. And we found out through my investigation that not only did he do that, he was like torturing prisoners. Okay, and this was in a lawsuit against the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, the Pulaski County jail system. Okay, so Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, I guess. So anyway, it goes to the Kentucky Supreme Court. I worked on that case. You have no idea how much time, effort, and money it takes to get a case to the Kentucky Supreme Court. And the fact that this prosecutor is spending this kind of time, effort, and money on an $80 theft case to make this go to the Kentucky Supreme Court makes you wonder, why is he really doing? That's your taxpayer money. Time's money. When that prosecutor's spending all this time on this case to get it to go to Kentucky Supreme Court, what is he not doing? Okay, we got fentanyl killing people right and left in Pulaski County, folks, and surrounding counties. We got drug problems here. We got real violent crime problems here. Where people are committing much more violent crimes and getting less time. This girl's looking at 5 years for $80. 5 years for $80. And this guy's taking it to the Supreme Court. Well, it makes you wonder, I wonder why. I know. Perhaps because Walmart, a multi-billion-dollar company, gave you a grant that looks like a bribe. Could it be that? I mean, how is this not? Go ahead.
I'm all for, don't misunderstand us.
Right.
Well, I'm all for prosecuting a shoplifter. I think that's very bad for them to do that. And I think they ought to get the maximum by law that they should be prosecuted big time to stop that nonsense. But we can't be given lethal injections to jaywalkers. We've got to have the punishment fit the crime. We've got to have that.
And for people who are saying, well, Walmart's just trying to back the blue. This is the same Walmart, by the way, through a subsidiary that gave all kinds of millions of dollars to Black Lives Matter and their subsidiary, which was trying to defund the police. All you police officers out there, this is the same organization that was trying to defund the police. So here's the other thing too. Why didn't McCreary County get any of this money? Why didn't McCreary County prosecutors, why didn't the Commonwealth attorneys that don't have Walmarts get any of this money? If you're just trying to help out law enforcement, why did you give it to all law enforcement? No, you only made sure that Pulaski County got it, because what's in Pulaski? Oh yeah, that's right. There would be a Walmart there. Making it even look more like quid pro quo. You scratch my back, you scratch your back, I scratch your back. You know what I mean? That's saying, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, it probably is a duck. Now, we're not saying absolutely this was a bribe, but you tell me, just because you call it a grant, how is this not a bribe? How is this not a bribe? And I'm amazed that this is even going on. And the fact that this prosecutor is going to run this up to the Supreme Court after the Court of Appeals has already told you why, a good answer. And, it just begs the question. So please review my open records request that I have posted on all the sites, all the Truth or Politics sites, and read it yourself, what we're asking for. I believe you guys deserve to know. Some of this money also went through the Somerset City Council, my favorite mayor, Mayor Keck and his bunch. So we've hit them with an open records request too. What happened? We want to know, you deserve to know, who got this money? Did it go for salaries? Because I've got sources telling me it did, okay? Who got the salaries? How much money? Where did it get funneled through? But you deserve all those answers, not me per se, but you, the people, deserve this. You may be next going through that. I'm telling you what, I won't ever go through one now. I didn't go through before because they cost people their jobs. I believe that. So, okay, we have unpacked this pretty good. You guys can start calling in, 606-376-5000. And folks, if you're worried that somebody's going to recognize your voice, by the time it comes across this phone, through this microphone, through this thing, trust me, people can't recognize your voice. They're not going to know who you are. So you do not have to identify yourself, and we don't make people do that. 606-376-5000.
And the reason she says this is that she knows that pressures can be brought to bear in Pulaski County against people who do work against them. She knows that.
Yeah, so I'm already getting
Past
reports. Well, I'm already getting reports that this has happened in Pulaski County to some of the Pulaski County Sheriff deputies. So make sure I covered everything. 606-376-5000 if you want to call in. Make sure I'm not missing something here. Pulaski County Commonwealth Attorney David Dalton. Oh, this is something else. This is in the Courier Journal. The Courier Journal? I think it was. It says, throwing books on at the shelf. Pulaski County Commonwealth Attorney David Dalton, who also refused to say if he prosecuted Chastity Shirley for the offense at Walmart's behest. So far, no comment on that. Folks, this don't look good. Okay, we got a call. Truth or Politics, what's your comment or question?
Yes, all right, comment. I was at Walmart this other day. And I never go to Walmart unless it's just something. I don't go to Walmart no more. But I went in there mainly just to get a hunting guide, because you can't get them big ends down here anymore. And while I was up there, I thought we went in Walmart to get me a hunting guide. And I picked up just a few things while I was there. And I come up there and what I had was under $50. I think I had like $30 something worth of stuff, $40 worth of stuff. And they had 2 checkout lanes open in the whole store.
Right.
The only thing they had open, I thought, well, I should not do that either, because that's the first time I've ever went through the self-checkout at Walmart. Matter of fact, the guy there had to help me.
Right.
So, because those lines were backed up, and I thought to myself, why don't we have more of these lines open for people,
Right.
And so, I'm going to do a self-checkout, and I never just, I'm going to go through one again now, since I watched your show here. And it'll probably be another year before we go to Walmart again, if I ever go to Walmart again. I kind of got fed up with them quite a few years ago, because they kind of went with the anti-gun people on a lot of issues, and I don't want to get into that. I'll get off here. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you so much, caller.
Bye.
Okay, all right, so, go ahead, Dan, you were going to say something.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so I've got the actual, for those of you who are saying, no, Walmart doesn't do that, Walmart doesn't give grants, really, I've got their whole grant program here. I downloaded it. Yes, you can go online and find stuff. That's what investigative reporters do. And I want to read you part right here, what it says. A recognized government entity, state, county, or city agency, including law enforcement or fire departments, that are requesting funds exclusively for public purposes and cyber grants front door verified. So this is their application, how you can be a law enforcement entity and you can apply for these grants, aka bribes. And then, you know, I don't understand how this is not a bribe. You know, it just looks like it is. And if it's not, if it wasn't meant to be that way, you know,
It's having that effect.
yeah.
It is having that effect. And here's the thing, if you go into Walmart and if you blame them, then I think you might be blaming the wrong person.
Yeah.
I think you need to blame this elected official that you have elected to represent you, your wishes. You've elected them, and what are they doing? They're working with an agency, a big corporation, against you. Now, why do you elect them? Why do you keep electing them? That just so amazes me.
Okay, and I want to, again, 606-376-5000, you can call in. I want to touch on something else too that really I found disturbing. I found out relatively recently that after the editor of I'm going to begin ready to throw the Commonwealth Journal under the bus. First off, how come the Commonwealth, you know, and it's not just me, and normally news agencies don't dog other news agencies, okay? But I'm going to do this tonight because wrong is wrong. The editor of the Commonwealth Journal, it's the Somerset paper, did a really good job, I thought. And they did, I think, 3 front page articles, and they were fair. They, you know, when we appeared in front of the city council and we brought to them the story about Lake Cumberland, what really lies beneath, they did their homework. They went and found out what C8 was, the Commonwealth Journal, and the mayor got to have his say, and they quoted him, they quoted me, and let me go ahead and take this call. Truth or Politics, what's your comment or question? Hello? Truth or Politics, what's your comment or question?
Why did it take them 2 years to sort this out about the 25,000 stolen that I went to go out?
You know what? You got to turn your TV or radio off in the background because it's echoing back
I'm sorry.
through that. And say that one more time, your question.
Why has it took them 2 years to let everybody know that this 25,000 was stolen out of that paper?
That's a good question. And if you'll see in our open records request, we asked that too. And why is the task force just now hitting them, you know, after we post our open records requests, and then the cat's out of the bag? There's going to be a hearing about this. They had scheduled it, they rescheduled it. My understanding is that the other defense attorneys now want to be a part of this hearing, because this doesn't just affect this one case. This affects other cases. Anytime an evidence room has this kind of a problem, it can affect a lot of defense cases. You know, so you know, I don't know. The answer is I don't know, and that's a good darn question, and we're going to try to get that answer for you. Do you have another question there, caller? Hello? Okay, I think he hung up.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
We just had the elections, of course, in Pulaski County, and we're going to have a new sheriff. Is there any chance that that new sheriff might have a chance to recognize this problem when he gets in office? He's not there.
We hope so.
But, I mean, is there any chance that that might have influenced the office up there now, letting this information out beforehand? Could that be influencing that at all? Because it will be let out when the new sheriff gets in, we think. So.
Well, we're going to let it, we've already let it. This cat is out of the bag.
Yes, we
okay,
know that.
this cat is out of the bag. Well, we're going to find out.
What could have made me want to say? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Truth or Politics, what's your comment or question? Hello?
Oh, sorry about that. I'm here in California, but it could be pretty simple because if there's only 4 people that have access to that room, I mean, it's kind of pretty full blank, man.
Well, you would think with this account where this money's going, that's one of the problems. Who has access to this account? That's a big question, because you're right. when people process evidence, not everybody and their brother, to include, like a secretary or whatever, should have access to evidence. And, that's a darn good question, and that's one of the reasons we did this open records request, and I'm sure inquiring minds like this task force want to know that as well.
So it's two of them that's still in office, and one of them Greg Speck, Bob Jones.
I'm sorry, say that again? You're kind of breaking up there.
Greg Speck is the sheriff in Pulaski County at this
Two of the
time.
four that is eligible to be that rookie, that Bobby Jones one and Greg Speck the other.
I don't know. I don't know who has access to that room. Here's the problem. It's not just the evidence room now. Apparently, they have set up an evidence account, that's what they're calling this, and they're taking seized money out of the evidence locker and putting it into this account. Well, who has access to this account? That's why this is a problem. They've removed evidence and put it in the bank. You're not allowed to do that. I mean, their own evidence procedures don't mention, hey, by the way, go put it in the bank and let, anybody and everybody have access to it. So we don't know who has access to it. That's one of the problems.
Well, of course, the one he said on Facebook, on my journal, that Greg Speck was supposed to be one, and there's three others, so I would be assuming it's Bob Jones, Will Thompson, he would be number two, and whoever number two would be that handle the evidence.
I don't know, sir. We don't know. We don't know.
We don't think that's so. We don't think that's.
We don't. Well, we don't know.
We don't know.
The answer to that is we don't know. That's why we're doing these open records requests. We're going to try to find out as much information about this case as we possibly can, and then give that information to you. Anything else, caller?
That'd be it, ma'am.
Okay, that's a good question, though. Good question. Thank you, caller. Okay, 606-376-5000. And this is why we do what we do, folks. We're going to try to get these questions answered for you. And if they refuse to answer these questions, then you, the people, need to be asking why. We will be dogging them as to why. Now, back to my little comment about the Courier-Journal. Commonwealth Journal. I get them mixed up. The one in Pulaski County, Commonwealth Journal. I'm sorry. Okay, so the former editor, notice I said former. And I'm going to take this call. You know what, caller, I'm so sorry. I accidentally hung up on you. Please call back. Sorry about that, caller. Call back again. I did not mean to do that. I'm challenged when it comes to technology, not the telephones. I humbly apologize. Call right back. Anyways, the editor does a story and does a good job, I feel, on the story of Lake Cumberland. He exposes what I exposed, but he also... Okay, here we go. I'll try not to hang up on you. Truth or Politics, what's your comment or question?
Yeah, he's talking about the people that's been charged with shoplifting and charged with felons for $70 or $80. What can they do in defense of themselves? Because if you get a felon, you're in bad shape if you get a felony charge. Especially if this is found out this has been going on. What are they able to do to...
Well, we hope...
To get that felony charge dropped.
Well, we hope that what's going to happen is that this is going to go to the Kentucky Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, I'm confident, will have the same common sense that the Court of Appeals will say and tell this, the prosecutors, no, you're not doing this because it's crazy, okay? And then it'll all go away. So that's what we hope is going to happen. But until the Kentucky Supreme Court answers this, or they can refuse to hear it, which means that the Court of Appeals will stand. That's what we hope is going to happen. But until then, this girl or anybody else is facing a felony thanks to these prosecutors. Any other question there?
No, that's all. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, real quick. So, the editor of the Somerset paper, Commonwealth Journal.
Commonwealth Journal.
I can't Courier Journal Commonwealth. I'm sorry.
Louisville's Courier Journal.
I know. I get them mixed up. Anyway, They do a really good job. And then I noticed that there's a change of employment and there's a new editor here. You know, I'm really hoping that the Somerset newspaper didn't do what, I pray they did not do, and get rid of a very good editor who had the guts, that's right, to do a story and tell it right and didn't miss a thing. I mean, word for word, did what news is supposed to do. And if this guy got fired, and I don't know that for a fact, just a suspicion, if this guy got fired because he did that, then, shame on you. You're the reason why people say the word fake news. You need to pack your shit up, your crap up, excuse my language. I hope we don't get thrown off the air. And you need to close your doors if that's what happened. Because, this is why waste, fraud, abuse, cronyism, and corruption happens, is because real news does not do their job. And if somebody dares to do their job, you fire them. So, we are going to investigate this. And, I really hope that that's not what happened. Because that editor, I'm sorry, and you people out there listening in Pulaski County, you need to know this. And you need to be asking that question too. Why did this editor magically get gone after he did his job and did a good job, Your paper should be covering all of this. You should be covering this stuff. And if you don't, you're not news. Change your name to, we're the Somerset ad sellers, because, that's all you're doing is selling ads. You're not covering news. So I will say this, citizens of Pulaski County, we hear a lot about take back our country. We need to take back our country. Everybody's heard that, right? This is how you do it. One city at a time, one county at a time. You do it by supporting real news, by supporting an editor who did his job. And you people should be throwing a fit about this up there, that this editor is gone now. And, perhaps because he did a good job on the Lake Cumberland story and followed it, and the reporter did a good job. And I know people got after her because she called me an activist. I don't care what she called me. I was in the Army, I had people call me maggot, okay? So, she did a good job. That reporter did word for word and did not miss a word of accounting that story. Both sides of it. That's what needs to happen with these stories too. And that editor should not have been fired. So
The general public, I think, should know
right.
that this young lady here gets nothing for what she does. She does it out of her concern for your welfare. Not one dime of anything is paid to any member of any of our groups. It's all because we're concerned and want to get the truth to the people who watch and listen to us. We document everything we do, and the reason we document it, there's two reasons. First off, we don't want them, the bad boys, taking us to court and winning. And secondly, we want to document so that you'll have proof that everything we say or bring to you is truth. And we won't represent it unless it is, unless we have a document to back it up. So we get paid nothing. There's no benefit to us in any way for what we do or why we have this opinion. And I know she gets a little excited, uses a little bit of.
I humbly apologize for that. Sorry, I was in the Army.
but that just shows you how concerned she is about your welfare.
Okay, we only got 1 minute left here. I just want to say this to citizens of Pulaski County. This is how you take back your country, right here. We have a whole army, in the background. Some of them are confidential, some of them are not. We call them the killer bees. So if you want to join the swarm, if you have information and we can verify it, we will cover it. We will investigate it, and we will do our job. And nobody with Truth or Politics, Pulaski County, Southeastern Kentucky, and we got a team in Louisville doing some amazing things out there too. None of us are getting paid for this. And our NBR TV station too, that keeps us on television, he could be making a lot of money running ads. He won't do it because during the show, notice no commercial interruptions here, because he believes what we believe. This is how you take back your country. Because if you start running ads, then whoever runs ads like Walmart can tell you that equals censorship. They can tell you, well, I'll pull my ad. So that's the problem with news today. So we're doing something different, we're doing something new, and we hope that you folks in Pulaski County, all of our new listeners and watchers, will support us. And I guarantee you, we're not going anywhere. And to the folks in Pulaski County who are engaging in waste, fraud, abuse, cronyism, corruption, we're not going anywhere. And we will investigate this thoroughly, and we will follow up. So at this point, we're out of time. And thank you for the callers. Thank you for the Facebook watchers. We appreciate Pulaski County Truth Politics. We appreciate Louisville, all the people watching us all around. And we appreciate MBR TV. And we will see you next time on Truth or Politics. Thanks.